Hi, everybody. I'm on with R.D. Musser the third. What a name, man. I got a pretty good name, but yours is the best.
But I go by Dan, so there you go.
You're a great guy, and thank you for doing this interview. Dan Musser, everybody, is the president of Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. And I've had the pleasure of being both a client and a fan of Grand Hotel, and we're going to talk for a few minutes about what makes your place so special and why people need to make sure that they get a family up there at least once a season. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your background. You have deep Michigan roots, as does your wife. Tell us how you got into this scenario that you would be the president of one of the largest summer hotels in the world, maybe the largest, yeah?
Well, we keep saying that. No one disputes it, so I suspect it's true. I worked here every summer of my life, as my children are too. I guess owning and operating a summer seasonal place, that's what you do.
Right.
Maybe a little bit like a farmer. And I, growing up, there was a certain point I thought, geez, I always liked it, but I thought this is a crazy business. We have funny hours where we work until late at night. We get up early to get breakfast going. We maybe scoot out for a little bit in the afternoon, and so I spent one summer at the Board of Trade in Chicago as a runner, and thinking this because I always liked, and I still do like numbers and relatively good at all that. But I thought, this might be an opportunity or something else to look into. And I realized pretty quickly that no, I like what we do. I like the fact that we have a diverse workforce with individuals that have great stories and skill sets that probably, certainly until I grew up, I didn't really experience. And we have a great and wide berth of guests that come to us every year, from different conventions to social guests to families to individuals. And all of that I realized pretty quickly after one summer at the Board of Trade, realizing every business is weird. If you want to do it well, you're going to spend some time doing it. And I'd rather do something that I enjoy, and I enjoy this. So I switched gears my senior year in college and focused on the hotel, and started the day after I graduated from Albion College, which is a good Methodist non-alcohol, heritage. And I took over our bars. From Albion College.
Well, whatever the work calls for, right?
Exactly.
Your bio says that you did everything at the hotel on the way up. You served as kitchen assistant, bellman, bartender, bar manager, front desk clerk, front desk manager, reservations manager, vice president. I assume that's important to knowing the work and knowing how to hire and what each department needs moving forward. Yeah.
No question about it. I've always felt, the one department I never worked in the stable. And I'm proud to say my second oldest daughter is now in the stable, so I have a connection there. But no, I've worked in every department. I think that was very beneficial to me growing up and growing into this role in what I try to do every day, running the hotel. But I've always felt that the hotel, the front desk is kind of the nerve center of our place in any hotel. And figuring that out and deciphering, we will have 397 rooms this year, all appointed differently, decorated differently, and trying to find out, trying to assign each of those rooms the guests that we think will enjoy those and appreciate them and make them happy. It's like a great jigsaw puzzle every day. And I fell in love with the business when I took over that job.
I marvel at that because most hotels want to keep it simple. There may be two or three different types of floor plans in any given hotel. And yet yours, I don't want people watching to miss that. What he just said, everybody, he has 390.
Seven. Well, we will have 397.
And each room in the hotel is decorated differently. No two rooms are the same. This is a remarkable statistic. You don't hear this about any hotel anywhere. And so he's not kidding when he talks about this jigsaw puzzle of getting people happy. I love the tradition. You've mentioned the front desk. You mentioned how every room is decorated differently. And this idea of tradition versus relevance, they're often viewed as opponents in the game of life. How could you have both? And yet you do. You maintain both. In an age where, I'm going to open a couple cans of worms here, Dan. In an age where all of the other large summer hotels have perished or closed or somehow gone out of business, yours not only continues to thrive, not only survives, but thrives. And yet you maintain some very quaint customs, real hotel keys in your hotel, not key cards. I mean, that's a trip. When I first saw that,
I just saw a head of maintenance, and he would like me to switch to the cards.
But you're holding out. Why?
I am. Well, I think there is something. Fortunately, on an island that has no cars, and the fact that we are on an island, we have different security requirements than a big city hotel does, or even, a motel in any suburb might have. And so we don't have that requirement per se. It might be someday we have to do the cards, but I like the keys. I like the tactile. I'm the kind of guy that reads the newspaper. While I still get it online, I still get the paper and read it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You're about to say you were tactile, and I think that's one of the Venn, the Venn diagram. You're a numbers guy. It was named after the mathematician John Venn.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Nobody knows his first name. We just call it the Venn diagram, like he's Madonna. He had only had one name. But when you overlap the two circles, one of the things that's in the middle, I think, is this sweet spot of tactility. You were mentioning that you were about to say you're a tactile person, as am I. And we've lost that in the hospitality business. So much of it now is electronic and automatic and systematic. And your hotel, although it has its systems, is still a very tactile environment, much like the island is, no motorized vehicles. For those of you that haven't been to Mackinac Island, it is a magical place, and I do not use that term magical lightly. You have to ferry across on a boat. The porters load your luggage across. You take your time on this trip, too, and if you miss the ferry, you wait for the next one, and you stay in one of the Mackinac City, or what is it on the other side?
St. Ignace, yes.
Yeah, and you eat some chocolate fudge, and you hang out, and you're in casual mode, man. There's nothing to rush this process. It's part of the preamble to actually be on the island, which is not a rushed feeling at all. It's a very tactile experience. And when you get off the boat, you're greeted by a horse-drawn carriage that's going to load up your luggage. And believe me, those horses are tactile as well. It is a very unique environment. And everybody I know that's gone for the first time says the same thing. It's such a remarkable value proposition. Back to the traditions. Jacket and tie in the dining room in the evening, correct?
Correct. And years ago, my father always said that, it doesn't cost us a dime to make gentlemen put a coat and tie on after 6 o'clock at night. And yet it changes the atmosphere and feeling of the main dining room and the hotel. And I feel not in a stuffy way, but kind of in a celebratory, happy way.
Oh, for sure.
And I think, well, not for everyone, obviously. There is a niche out there that enjoys and likes it. And I'm always warm, particularly this time of year, when I see Christmas cards coming to us of families that have their picture taken on the front porch of Grand Hotel, our hotel, with their coat and ties on, and the father with their sons and daughters in their dresses. So I think there is a niche for that. It's, like I said, it's not for everyone, but it seems to work for us.
I think the Catholic schools and some workforces figured out that people are actually on better behavior when they're in some sort of a uniform or they're dressed up. Women have done this forever. Men, we're like Neanderthals. We don't quite understand that by putting on nice clothes that actually put us in a better mood or put us in a better frame of mind. And so what happens, I think, is a lot of the women kind of pressure their husbands. You know, it wouldn't kill you to wear a tie once in a while. And this is the once in a while we're going to go to the Mackinac Hotel. And I think the guys do get it. It might take them a couple of hours to adjust to the new climate, but they eventually get it. And you just feel, I remarked the last time I was there that people actually slow down to walk through your lobby and through the main dining room, because everything changes when you're dressed up like that and when you're in that kind of an environment. The fresh flowers, the nice touches, the ornamentation, the photographs in the hallway. You've got like a hall of fame, particularly Michigan celebrities, but famous people from all over the world. U.S. presidents have all visited the Grand Hotel. It's a magnificent list. Do you have a favorite celebrity guest?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess every guest is a celebrity, right? But
Yeah.
you know, I was 16 years old when Summer in Time was filmed at Grand Hotel, and Jane Seymour was and still is a heartthrob to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's always a very special guest when she comes. But, you know, we're fortunate to be a little bit of the, you know, the summer political hotbed in Michigan anyway, and the Great Lakes with the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce annual policy conference that they have here just before Memorial Day weekend, which has really become the actually nothing else like it in the country. A policy conference with CEOs, you know, do-gooders, every group, every faction of the Great Lakes is here, along with national presence with folks running for president, folks that hope to be senators or congressmen, and so that whole world too was very interesting to me. I like politics and I'm interested in it, so I enjoy interacting with all that and serving those guests.
It's fantastic. And speaking of that front porch where people come out to take photographs, for the longest time, anybody that visited Mackinac Island would go to the Grand Hotel, because this is like the essence of the entire island, right? Maybe some other merchants would beg to differ, but it's the crown jewel. Yeah. It's the crown jewel, man. And recently, I don't know what year it was, but you started to charge a fee for a walk, just merely, it sounds bad to say it like this, but I will going to cover my backside here in a minute, a fee just to step onto the porch at the Grand Hotel. What's the story behind that?
Well, my dad came up with the idea, and he put me in charge of it, and I was in high school, so it must have been 1984 that we started it. And really, it totally became, it started because we wanted to limit the number of non-guests in the hotel. Not that we don't appreciate and we value the day visitors, but it changed the experience for the overnight guests so much that it was taking away from their experience, that we had to do something. And so we started originally $2, and now we charge $10. Now we do apply that to our lunch and buffet, but it does limit the numbers. But before that, we would have as many as 5,000 non-guests in our parlor every day. And for example, our tea service that we do every afternoon, which is a kind of, you know, an elegant, nice affair, was literally a line out the door to get to the tea. And it took away from the experience. It took away from just functioning, guests getting around, us getting around. And so we started the charge, and we apply that towards the lunch and buffet, which a lot of guests will take advantage of that. And I think for the most part, it's been well received, certainly by overnight guests. Obviously, some day visitors are upset they cannot just freely walk on our property, but we do have the tea garden available to non-guests, as well as the golf course and other areas. So there are, you can certainly see the hotel without paying the charge, but I think it's been overall a good thing and well received.
Well, it's worth it too. I mean, lots of photo opportunities cost money. Photos with famous people, like some of the ones we just talked about, cost money at certain venues.
Oh, sure.
How many people pay $10 to walk on the porch in the summertime per day?
Well, a good number.
More than used to pay it before 1984. I think
Yes.
that's fantastic. I think it's a just another value proposition, and people can decide to not come up. But if you're bothering to make the trip, man, you're gonna ante up and do it. It's just such a fun thing. So
Oh, I
much,
think so. I think so. Yeah.
yeah, so much of marketing is about perceived value or the value proposition, whether it's the $10 tour of the front porch and stay for a lunch, or actually staying at the hotel and experiencing the view and that slower lifestyle from years gone past.
Hmm.
But this is also a challenging environment. Most hotels have a huge marketing machine working for them, whether it be Marriott or Sheraton or Hilton. Um, and yet you guys are like a standalone. Maybe you participate in some programs, but you've got to kind of make up your own game as you go, don't you?
Pretty much. I mean, yes, we do participate in historic hotel group and a few others, but no, we're a independent and proudly so,
Yeah,
which it has benefits and drawbacks. We don't have, the million plus awards members that's stable, a Sheridan or a Marriott or Hilton might have. But we also have a very loyal base of customers that know us and like us, and fortunately become our best advertisers you could have. And so we work hard on that. We work really, really hard on getting our first guest here. And generally, if we can get you here, we got you.
yeah,
Maybe not every year, but every other year, or some kind of cycle. And
yeah.
that's been our experience, and keep working on it.
There are other challenges. There used to be, I don't know, I saw a map one time of how many large wooden seasonal hotels there were in the United States. There
Uh-huh.
was it a couple dozen at one time? How did that go?
Oh, anyway. I mean, there was, and a lot chose to close down during the Second World War, and a lot of those did not reopen. Um, our biggest challenge is being the world's largest summer hotel is seasonal staff. We closed down at the end of October. And so half of our staff are foreign nationals that every year we have to go to the United States government and prove that there are not Americans willing and able to do the work. And then we can bring in foreign nationals to augment the 300 plus Americans that we do hire to complement our overall staff of about 700 when we get fully open. Um, and so that's a huge challenge for a seasonal place like us. And we're probably the poster child or extreme of seasonal spots. There's still wonderful places left in the great in America. Basin Harbor Club in Vermont is a seasonal spot. There's a place in just outside of Brainerd, Minnesota, the Madigan's Resorts. And so there's other seasonal places like us, but we're the largest and biggest of what we do. And anyway, we enjoy it, and glad our guests do too, more importantly.
Yeah, and the island environment is really nice as well. So this beautiful scenario, this value proposition is not without its challenges. 397 rooms, 700 employees. You said you were a number person. Do you have any other numbers that make people's eyebrows go up?
Well over a million linear feet of Michigan white pine originally built Grand Hotel. Now I think since then we've replaced that with drywall and laminate and steel and all those other things.
But that's
Um,
an interesting story too. The hotel was built very, very quickly one summer, yeah, and everything. There was nothing on the island. They had
well,
to bring
pretty much
everything
one
over.
winter.
Oh, did you?
It was the foundation was built in the fall of 1886, and then the lumber was milled in Sheboygan, Michigan that winter and brought over on the ice from Sheboygan to Mackinac Island in the springtime, where our tennis courts are now. A tent city was built for 400 carpenters, which I don't know if you could find 400 carpenters today at any one place anywhere in our country, but anyway, they had 400 carpenters working from probably, I'm guessing, mid-April, we think, and then they opened on July 10th. They put this thing together pretty much as you see it. Now, we've added 2 wings and we've added a floor on the top and other things, but finished out certain public spaces. But for the most part, the facade that you see was built in 90 days or less in the spring and early summer of 1887.
Which is fascinating because, I mean, it may be safe to say we'll never see a building like this be constructed again, let alone in 90 days or less. It's
Probably
an
not.
unusual.
Probably not. Yeah, we're a unique deal, and luckily, but yeah, if you know, I've always thought, boy, if I could, you know, go turn back the time dial and redo it, I would obviously all have rooms that face the lake. They
Yeah.
would be much bigger and all those things. But yeah, you probably, this is a unique thing.
Well, it's a special place. I wanted to talk to you. I'm with Dan Musser, by the way, everybody, grandhotel.com for information. You need to book ahead. This is a very popular place. And you want to, if you have a special occasion like anniversaries or birthdays or just special events in your family, bring the whole family up. You'll never experience anything else like it. I promise you that. Tell us about the name, the word "the" in front of Grand Hotel. What's the story there? Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't.
We've always said just Grand Hotel. It's
Yeah.
it's just Grand Hotel.
But I hear other people say "the Grand" a lot, and it's just not.
They do, but you'll never see it in our publications or anything that we do. And we've
Very good.
always we're Grand Hotel.
Yes, you are. And the truth in advertising, for sure, it is a grand, grand place, everybody. So thank you, Dan, very much for being on the podcast with me. I appreciate you. And of course, we hope to see you soon.
Likewise. Thank you for including me.
Thank you.